So I moved out when I was 16. I was on the beer all the time, I was out fighting. I had the McGregor poster on my wall. Well, my mum always believed in me. She'd always have my back no matter how many times I fucked up. You don't seem like a fighter, but I can switch it on. Like, I have that nastiness about me to try and hurt you. Like, the Christmas tree came down, the furniture was everywhere, and it was a 30-minute round and ended in a draw.
Hello everybody and welcome to Between Rounds. I'm Dan Hardy and I'm joined by one half of Belfast's main event, Darragh Kelly. You found out 2 weeks ago that you were fighting the main event. Like, how do you go from knowing one opponent, preparing for that person, to all of a sudden you've got someone entirely different and you're top of the bill?
It was a massive change. Like, you know, I've said this, I'm repeating it over and over. When I was originally told about this Belfast card, when it was Boston then, I was scheduled to fight JJ, and then the whole thing got flipped on its head, and I was fighting Sergio Cosio. I think I would have been co-main against JJ anyway, and for it to come full circle then 2 weeks before the fight, it just feels like everything fell in my favour. Fighting the same guy on the main event, more eyes on me. I was delighted, like, pure excitement.
So you'd already done a little bit of thinking for JJ already, even if it was just kind of just on the surface. What was your first read on him before the fight got remade?
Yeah, so it was actually back in October. I think late October or November was the first time I was told I was fighting him. So that's like, what, 5 months? So I watched a bit of him back then. You know, didn't dive into it too much. I went to Thailand after that. When we came back in January, I must have done 3 weeks preparing for him. So, you know, it was in my head already. It was no big shock for me then. But first thoughts on him, very unorthodox and game. So I think it's going to make for a fun fight. Like.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. I mean, I was very impressed with his last fight against Mads Bennell as well. Just the pace that he kept on Mads, knowing how good Mads Bennell is. So you were telling me you were with your bro, and he was fighting on Clan Wars when you found out. So, because you were telling me you were nervous for your brother, of course, as you would be. And then you found out this news. What was that evening like for you? Because he went on to win as well, impressively, right?
Yeah. So I get more nervous when my brother's fighting than I do for myself. It's not even close. Like, I hate the feeling when he's fighting. Like, but yeah. So I was already trying to keep it together in front of him, and then I got the text that. So I didn't want to tell him, of course. You know.
Oh, you didn't tell him straight away?
I didn't tell him, no, because I wanted him just to focus, you know. And so it was like a double whammy of excitement and nerves, and it was a lot, like. And then afterwards, once he got the job done, he went in the first round finish, as I said. So it was a good day, like, you know. Yeah, it was a good day.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine the nerves that you would feel for your brother fighting as well. So he's a younger brother, right?
Yeah, he's 6 years younger than me. He's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the nerves like when he's fighting? How involved are you in his preparation and in his cornering?
Yeah, very involved. I corner him every fight. Stylistically, he's very, very similar to myself. Like, you know, he gives me some of the hardest rounds in the gym. There was an interview I was doing there. I was saying, I can't remember when it was, but at Christmas time, we started, you know, barking at each other in the living room, and we took off wrestling for, you know, the Christmas tree came down, the furniture was everywhere, and it was a 30-minute round and ended in a draw. So, you know.
A Christmas Day draw.
A Christmas Day draw, nice. Yeah.
So what was your intro into martial arts? Did you find it yourself? Were there other people in your family that had introduced martial arts to you?
Well, my older brother was very interested in it. You know, he would have, I remember him having like DVDs of the Ultimate Fighters and, you know, watching Pride, things like this. So I had a wee bit of interest in it, but my whole life, from as young as I can remember, you know, joining school, I was just constantly fighting, like, be it sports, school, nights out then on the street. It was like I was starting to get in a lot of bother for it. I was fighting every single week, twice a week. You know, starting to get in a bit of trouble for it, and I thought to myself, you know, I'm pretty good at this, and I'll give it a go, and I just went for it. I only started when I was 18, and
You were playing other sports though, right? 'Cause I remember you saying on a video I saw recently you were getting in trouble, you were getting sent off more than you were on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. So I played in soccer with Darragh until I was about 15, and I was training, every day of the week for that. But I just, at that age, yourself, drink and everything else comes into it. So I lost interest and I had no love for it no more. And for a couple of years, and that's when I started getting in trouble, 2 or 3 years. And then once I started MMA, that just put me back on track. I had a goal, and I felt like I was playing catch up, which I think, starting late, people could say, oh, it's a big disadvantage. But when I started at 18, I felt like I was playing catch up, so I worked harder than everyone in the room. And I really doubled down on it. I zoned in on everything from day dot, and I still have that mentality that I'm playing catch up. So I think that's something that stands by me.
Did you have an idea of what kind of fighter you wanted to be, though?
Probably the opposite of what I am.
Okay.
All my favourite fighters, and I was watching it, were all knockout artists. And in Donegal, there's not much martial arts. I had to go an hour away up to Letterkenny to Healy and Gracie, which is obviously a Jiu-Jitsu gym.
Right, yeah.
And so that kind of set the wheels in motion, and that's the style I went for.
So who were the fighters that you liked watching?
I really liked George Masvidal.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So he was probably my favourite fighter. Later on, then I liked Cody Garbrandt a lot. All strikers, like Crow Cop. I used to watch Crow Cop's videos all the time.
One of my favourites. I'm left-footed, so I used to watch Crow Cop all the time, putting people away with that one kick. Mm-hmm. Do you find there's a particular technique in your game that stands out? I mean, you're dominant in the clinch and on the ground, but in your last fight, you seem to be far more confident and comfortable just to stay in the pocket and sting with your jab a lot more. Are there certain techniques that you're working on to add to your game, or is there something that you feel is like, this is my technique?
Yeah, no, in the last couple of years, I've definitely become a lot more well-rounded. I've been patching the holes in my striking, of course, working my wrestling, jiu-jitsu, that's my bread and butter, and we'll be seeing that too. But I started working with a box coach, Jordan Moore, in Fedor, and that's really made me, I think I'm a complete fighter now. I don't have to rely on one avenue anymore. I can do it all.
Are there fighters that you maybe watch to learn from? I mean, you mentioned like the likes of Cody Garbrandt and Masvidal. You can learn a lot from those guys, but like guys that either in the past that you kind of went back and watched, or guys that are active now that you feel when you're watching them, you're more absorbing more than being entertained. If that makes sense. Yeah,
well, in the past I would have watched a lot of Khabib. I was taking things from that. First name that came to my head was Gunny Nelson, because
Nelson,
he was over in Dublin when I was there training. And we kind of, just a real nice guy. Nothing but like time for you, would help you. Then I went out to Iceland to train with him, and again, just nothing but help for you. A couple hours after the classes, staying around showing you things. So I watched a lot of tape on him, and I felt like I learned a lot from his grappling as well.
But he's a very, very calculated grappler.
Yeah.
The fight that always stands out, I think I was on commentary for it when he fought Zach Cummins. And I remember he was on Zach Cummins' back, and like obviously Zach Cummins don't know where the arms are coming from, so he's defending his head, and Gunnar was like using the inside of his knuckles, like rapping on his ribs to make him bring his arms down. Like that's a real. There's a real calculatedness to that. But as you said, he's a very, very nice guy.
Yeah.
But when I see that, I'm like, hang on a minute, he's a really, really nice guy, but that's a little bit sociopathic. To understand how to like manipulate someone with pain like that. How much of that do you find in your game?
Yeah, just touch on that. Like, I think he's a very intelligent guy, and I think that's kind of what sets him apart. But that is definitely in my game as well. Like, people always say, geez, you're very calm, you're this, that, you don't seem like a fighter, but I can switch it on, and I have that nastiness about me to try and hurt you, and I think I'm same as Gunny. I think I'm pretty intelligent in there, and I can find a way to hurt you and get the job done.
See, that's what stands out to me, and it's interesting you mentioned Gunnar, because he gives off a similar energy to you. It's like you're down for the fight, you're there from the first bell to the last bell, no matter what. But you don't put off this, I'm going to come at you, bully energy that you sometimes get from fighters during the face-offs. Like even today, like at the face-off, you were very, very calm, almost like you were looking through him. And obviously, you know, JJ's doing the Maori face, and like you seem very calm and calculated. But you can see there's that current inside you where you're just ready to be in the fight.
Yeah, at the start of my career, I would have been more aggressive,
Really?
you know, switched on kind of all week, just like can't wait to get in there. You know, now I find myself, you know, I've got that excitement and I've got the butterflies, and you need that. But I know that I can just switch it on once I get there. I don't have to be dwelling on this too much, you know. Once I get there, someone else takes over. Like that guy locked away a long time ago, and he comes out and he does the job. So I know I can switch it on when it comes to the time.
Do you watch your fights back?
Yeah, if the performance didn't bother me, I watch them back. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked you is because it's interesting now we've got into this conversation about the way that you very, very calculated your approach. Because I just did a fight tactics on your last fight against Hamill. And what was really interesting is that he was wrist controlling on one arm, so you were striking with the other. But when he let go of this wrist, you didn't move the arm. It was like you left it there so he didn't pay attention. And you were striking, then as soon as he turned his head, you bit with that arm.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that was a calculated decision?
Yeah, like it was. I think it might have been the opposite arm against my last fight, then against Abdullayev. But yeah, that's something I do pretty often. Like it seems to get boys almost by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just
That's almost because you could have grabbed his wrist and you didn't. You just kind of let your arm hang there, almost like so he would feel that it was safe.
And then just shoot.
And then just bit on him. And you also it was across the chin as well, wasn't it? You adjusted the hands behind the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, who are you getting those little tips from? Is that a Gunnar Nelson kind of tip? Who else is working on your ground game like that?
I don't know. A lot of the things that I done in my ground game, I suppose from watching these guys, I kind of sussed it myself. Like if you went and told me now, take a class and show them exactly what you've done, I probably would have to really think about it. But I've been in the positions that much, and I do a lot of my own stuff that I know how to do them when I get there. Couldn't tell you what I do to set them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm more just, I know what I'm doing when I'm there. Like I've just got the feel for it, you know.
Interesting. So, well, I've got to ask you as well, because we're from different generations in MMA time, and between my time in MMA and your time in MMA, there was a massive surge in Irish mixed martial arts, obviously with Conor McGregor and everything that came along with McGregor and all the surge. What was it? Where were you at during that? How old were you, and what kind of impact did that have on you?
It's probably the reason I started. So I moved out when I was 16, and I remember the house, we shed house in the town, like, and as I was on the beer all the time, as I was fighting, I had the McGregor poster on my wall above the fireplace, and that's probably why the main reason I started. I remember I used to save up my wages for the few weeks before his fights and put it all in the bet. So you know, I was definitely a big fan of what he done, and yeah, like the effect that had in Irish MMA. That's obviously why it surged so much. You know, we have waves upon waves of fighters coming through, and it's all down to that, really. Like, you know, so yeah, that had a massive impact on me.
Were there any events that you went to in your early days that you were like, man, I want to be in the center of that cage right now where that guy is?
Yeah, well, I actually, like, I used to go down to the Bellator shows as a fan, and I almost thought, like, you know, when you're starting out and you don't know where the ceiling is, you don't know. I thought, geez, I'd be mad if I could fight there someday, you know. And I remember in my my fifth or sixth amateur fight, I beat a guy, Blanita, and I knee barred him. And then when I was maybe a year later, I was down in the crowd watching him. He was fighting on the show, and he won. It was actually against my teammate Azil. But he won, and then I thought, you know what, fucking, you know, I should be in there, like, you know. So it came around pretty quick.
Yeah. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't fighting?
I don't know. I would like to say I would have fucking got my shit together, like. But I'd say I would have gotten a few more handlings beforehand and maybe dug the hole too deep. I don't know. But yeah, I'm glad I found fighting when I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about, do you think about post-career? Do you think about, you know, what you'd like to do after? Would you like to be a coach? Do you want to be around the sport? Or once you've become a champion and you've defended a few times, you're going to be done with it?
I don't know if coaching's for me. Maybe I would have like a side role, not the head coach, and I can come and go and help out here and there. I don't think that coaching would be for me, having my own gym and stuff like that. I would like to get into just my own businesses and things like that. When that's what comes to my mind when you ask that question. It's I'll get into business. Yeah,
I guess once you've achieved at the highest level in MMA, you kind of feel like you can take on most things anyway, right?
It's the work ethic that this sport gives you. You know, I have dedicated myself for the last 10 years now without cutting any corners, and if you can put half of that work ethic towards anything, I think you'll succeed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right, let's draw one of these questions from the bowl. So these are, we've got some PFL staff in here, we've got some people that have been on the show before. So you can grab one of those. It should have the name of the person on it as well that wrote the question. You can just read it out and then answer it. Some of them are kind of deep, some of them are not so deep. So we'll see what you get.
I got a long one. What do you think shaped you more? The hardest thing you've gone through, or the person who believed in you when you needed it most?
Oh, that's a good one. So what shaped you more, a hard experience or a person that believed in you? What's your support network like? You've got brothers, of course. You've mentioned them.
Yeah.
You've got good people around you?
I have 3 brothers. Yeah, I couldn't have a better support network, like real close family. Back to the question. Nothing comes to mind when I think the hardest thing you've gone through. So.
Is the hardest thing you've gone through in MMA?
Probably not. Probably not. No.
That's always a good thing, right?
Yeah.
MMA should be the easiest thing in life.
It should be.
Right?
It should be. Well, my mum always believed in me. Now the soppy answer. My mum always believed me when I fucking let her down time and time again, and she kept, she'd always have my back no matter how many times I fucked up, you know what I mean? So I could always turn to my mum, so yeah.
So what would the perspective of you now being main event in Belfast? Is that you succeeding? Is that you achieving what you set out to achieve? You're not there yet, no?
Nah, I'm not there yet.
Where do you need to get to?
I don't know, but I know it's not this.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I need, but I know that it hasn't been scratched, not even close.
Very cool. Thanks for joining me for this conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Nice one,
Appreciate
man.
you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this week. Ladies and gentlemen, Darragh Kelly, one half of the main event in Belfast. Make sure you watch this fight. Make sure you follow him on all social media. There's a bright future in this man's career coming, and I don't know where it's going to be, but it's going to be up at the top of the sport. You've got all the dedication, all the skills, my friend. So
appreciate
good luck.
Yeah, nice one, Dan.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you next time between rounds.